You lost good. Wow.
How'd you get here?
Let's imagine you're watching two people cross a room. Person A walks smoothly. Every step flows perfectly into the next. Their movement continuous, no clear boundary between one step and the next. If you tried to count their steps, you would have to impose artificial divisions on what is perceptively a fluid process. The other person, they move differently. They're taking deliberate, hard steps. They pause and take another, every step distinct. This is super easy to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as they go. Both people cross the room. Let's say person A arrives faster. They're not doing the same thing at different speeds. They're doing different things. This is the difference between differential and finite operations. And this is going to get mathematically precise. When we call something finite, what we mean is not that it can be counted. We mean that it's composed of countable units. What that really means. Every unit is a separate thing, an event. You can put a number on it. Someone took 5 steps, 10 words, 3 hours. When we say something's differential, we mean it involves like continuous variation beneath what we would normally call countable units. It's not that there are an infinite number of steps. It's a wrong way to think about it. It's that step doesn't work really here as a unit at all. The process is continuous in a way that resists being carved into discrete chunks. And the classic example is calculus. It's the one I think Calc 101 always gives people. Imagine we're tracking the speed of a car. Sorry, everyone who knows this one. At any given instant, what is its speed? Here's the problem. Speed is distance divided by time. But at any instant, there's no time. Duration is 0 in a photograph. You can't divide distance by 0. So how can there be such a thing as instantaneous speed? This is a big problem, and it's a problem that Newton and Leibniz independently solved by inventing calculus. The instantaneous speed is the limit of average speeds as the time interval gets smaller and smaller. It's differential because it captures the rate of change at a point, not over an interval. It's about a tendency of the motion, not about the countable units of it. And that's the thing. A differential quantity exists as a single point, but captures a thing about change. It's not countable operations. You're not adding up units. You're dealing with something that's different. It's about intensive variation that underlies extensive measurement. Now, why the fuck does this matter for anything but calculus? Well, there's a reason we have calculus. It's because many processes can kind of be done either way, either as a sequence of discrete operations or as a continuous flux of change. These are genuinely different modes of existence. This isn't faster or slower versions of the same thing. Let's say playing a piece of music. A beginner would read the notes one at a time. I once had to learn to play the saxophone. Okay. C's here, D's here, blah, blah, B's here, A's here. Move my finger in this way, press this for the octave. Every note is separate, a discrete command I have to give my body. A beginner's performance is finite. It is a sequence of countable unit operations. At some point I got better, but someone who's truly good, a skilled musician, they play the piece completely differently. Notes just flow. There's not a moment in their head where they think, okay, now is A, C, D, D, D. The passage is continuous structure, gesture, ongoing, a single movement that traverses all of these pitches. Music in this way is differential. It operates beneath discrete notes. Now, the skilled musician might be faster, but it's not about him doing things faster. He's doing something different, a different thing. The notes the beginner experiences as separate events, a musician experiences as continuous variation. The discrete becomes differential. Try the difference between speaking a native language versus a language you barely know. Many of you have been able to laugh at me doing this. In your native language, speech will flow continuously. You're not actually thinking about the words you're saying often. You're not consciously structuring grammatical structures as you go. Words come in a continuous interlocking stream. Differential. In a language you barely know, you would have to think about each word, consciously retrieving vocabulary, manually constructing grammar, deliberately pronouncing certain sounds. Every unit is a separate operation. It's finite. Again, faster or slower is irrelevant, not the point. It's different. This distinction has a really specific philosophical history. The philosopher Henri Bergson argued that Western thought makes a fundamental error. I love this. It treats continuous processes as if they were composed of discrete instants, and then tries to reconstruct continuity by adding these instants together. But you can't get continuity by adding discontinuous moments. You can't get motion by adding together motionless positions. An illusion of it, sure. Imagine a movie. Movies are basically just a series of frames, 24 per second or 30 or 60 or whatever frame rate I'm fucking using because of Da Vinci. What we experience, smooth motion. This is the cinematographic illusion. We analyze continuity into discrete units and mechanically reconstruct the appearance of continuity. He thought this was how our thinking might work, that it fundamentally misrepresents how reality works. Real duration, Bergson argued, is actually continuous. Real change is differential. Discrete frames are a representation of motion, not motion itself. Deleuze would pick this up and develop it further. He argued that differential processes are ontologically primary. They're actually the thing that's happening. Finite, discrete operations, those are derivative operations, derivatives of differentials, carved out of them by certain kinds of attention or measurements or abstractions. Think of it this way. When that skilled musician plays continuously, we analyze the performance into individual notes. We're not discovering like a true structure. We're imposing a structure. The notes are real. The sound really does have various frequencies and starts and stops, but the discreteness is a byproduct of our analysis. It's not a feature of the original composition. And this becomes important when you consider learning and difficulty. Why is learning a skill hard? It's not only because you have to do things faster. It's a simple way. It's because you have to transform finite operations into differential ones. You have to reorganize discrete steps into a continuous flow. You have to move from counting to varying. And you can't. There's no amount of practice at the finite level that just becomes differential. You can get super fast at counting things. But getting faster at counting is not the same as reaching the point where you stop counting altogether. It's a qualitative shift, a reorganization, not just acceleration. Some learners make that shift. Something clicks. The discrete operations cohere into flowing competence. Others just never make it. They stay at this finite level, doing the same thing they always did, just with more practice. Maybe they get a bit more speed. They hit a ceiling, not because they've reached a limit on their speed, but because they're doing a process that's flatly the wrong thing. It also helps explain why certain difficulties are hard to see from the outside. If you're operating differentially, the finite version looks simple. It seems to be just the same thing, just analysis spelled out step by step, Bergson said. But for someone stuck at the finite level, there's no same thing at all. They're not doing a slower version of what you do. They're doing something different. And the path from their process to yours is not a straight line of accelerating. And there's a really specific and awful kind of violence in treating finite and differential processes as merely quantitative differences. It allows you to say, just practice more, try harder, get better, speed up, as if the problem was one of quantity. The issue is quality, qualitative. If the person is doing a categorically different kind of operation, then more and faster, they're the wrong interventions. The differential finite distinction, it's not a binary. There are degrees of integration even. Someone might be partly differential and partly finite, flowing through some passages, stuttering through others. Expertise involves expanding the domain of differential operation, pushing the boundary further and further out. But the distinction is pointing to something very real and very material. Beneath every countable operation lies a field of continuous variation. The countable emerges from continuity, not the other way around. And some processes, fluent ones, skilled ones, flowing ones, they operate in that continuous field directly without passing through the level of discrete units at all.
I could run through these halls forever if you like. Be trapped in this mall together if you like. I'd love to explore the corners if you like. The music plays so loud, guiding me where I go. In this vibrant crowd, do you feel it too though? Maybe I'm just here